Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. Also, good morning to all the YouTube viewers. This was the weekly analysis. It's going to be our daily analysis we do in our group, but it will be out on YouTube for the week. So if you allow me 2 minutes, very quick, a few questions I've been getting from traders from YouTube who are not in my members of our group. First thing they're asked, what is this group you're talking about? Some people see it, once in a while. They Google me, they do all kinds of stuff. They can't find a website. And then they come and they eventually send me a Skype message and say, hey, where is your group? What do you guys do? So if you're seeing this for the first time, go to my YouTube page and go through some of the old videos. You'll probably get more information. If you want more information, send me a Skype message. That's all I'll give you. And let me type this, MANGAL 457. That's my Skype name. Send me a Skype message and I'll send you all the details you need. Right? That's that. Anything you need to know, you get all the details there about the group, what the group does, and everything. So let's move on. Let's start with the DXY, dollar index. Dollar index went up. So we were looking at last week's and we're saying that there's a high probability of this thing going and breaking the low here. It came first here to the low, we didn't break it. We came second time very close, we didn't break it. That's very corrective pattern started there, but then they took off very strong to the top. Now that's a very, very strong impulsive move in with a flat at the bottom here, right? If you looked at this move, we had a flat here also, and we had a very impulsive move go out. Not as impulsive as this one because we had a correction here. If we get a correction here and we get a similar move up, the question we're going to ask ourselves, is that the start of the upside or is that making some kind of a flat here for one more down? Right? Because very likely they're going to break the low. But if you look at the daily pattern, when you're looking at patterns, you're looking at behavior. So behavior in the past didn't show us in this impulse that they actually made a very big flat here. They did have a deep pullback, but it wasn't a very big flat before it drops. So I'm looking at that and said, well, we don't really necessarily need a big flat here before we drop. It should drop and break the low, unless we're trying to go up and this is some kind of a contracting flat, right? Unless we're trying to go up and this is some kind of a contracting flat. So now that I've said that, let me take 1 minute to explain to everybody who are not wave theory traders what I mean by that, because they said, I mean, if you're not a wave theory trader, and especially if you haven't done it to the level that we're doing it in our group, which is an understanding my traders have very fair, you will say, well, you're just making a hedging your thing that it could go up or it could go down. Actually, one trader wrote me, you keep saying that it might go up and it might go down, and so let me from that trader's point of view, let's go from that level of ignorance, not knowing anything about wave theory. Yes, at any point in time, any chart you pick, price will do three things. Price will go up, price will go down, or price will go sideways. At any point of time, just pick any point of time. Basically, it doesn't matter what you know, what you don't know. So right now, this currency or this chart on the dollar index, it can go up, it can go down, or it can go sideways. So if you were to guess, there's a 30% chance or a 35% chance you're going to be right which direction you guess. Right? If you flip a coin, you're probably still going to get the same 30% chance because it is only going to do one of these three things. So if you're a buyer, you have a 60% chance you're not going to lose your money. If you're a seller, you have a 60% chance you're not going to lose your money because 30% it's going to go your way. 30% it doesn't go your way, you get break even. 30% you're going to win. 30% you get break even. So 60% chance you're not going to lose your money. There's only a 30% chance you're going to lose it because it goes against you 30% of the time you can do that, right? But for every single trade, you have the same probability. So there's a 30% chance of you losing every single trade. So you can lose 100 trades in a row with that 30% chance, right? Or you can win 100% trade in a row. Because every trade, the probability repeats itself. It's not like if you take 100 trades, you're going to win 30, and you're going to win 60, and you're going to lose 30. That's not how it works, right? Because I've seen that probability shown to some traders. You're going to win. No, you're not going to. Every single trade, you repeat the probability as from start. So now you still have the same probability in the new trade, and you can lose that again, and you can lose that, and you can lose that. We know 90% of traders lose their account eventually with that kind of probability. So what you're looking for in the charts is something that gives you a sense of direction. I'm not talking about trading. I'm not talking about strategy. I'm talking about a sense of direction. You want an edge in the direction the market is going to go. So you want anything in the chart you can find that will tell you, hey, there's a high probability of this thing going up. So you've just increased that 60% probability to 90% or more. 80, 90%, that it is going to go in your direction. Wave analysis is the only analysis in the entire trading sphere and all the types of analysis you can find that gives you a sense of direction. The rest of them gives you a strategy to trade. Okay, here is a pin bar. It pulled back 80% of the pin bar and we're going to buy. Or we're going to sell because after a pin bar, it goes down. Right? Well, that's not true. You can go and look at all the pin bars. Then they will tell you, well, you can't trade all the pin bars. You have to select them. If you're doing that, then that is wrong. The analysis fails you. You don't know which of the pin bars are going to fail you. Right? That's it. The same thing if you trade support and resistance. Oh, well, this is a support until it breaks it. Or this is a resistance until it breaks it. Well, if you can break all the support and resistance, then it's useless because you don't know which one is going to break. Right? If you use that as a method, right? Let's assume you have an imaginary support or imaginary resistance point in the chart and it breaks it. It's going to break it. At some point, it's going to break it. The chart keeps going up and down. It's going to break that freaking thing you put there, that imagination you have. And you don't know which one is going to break it. That's the point. So you're putting all your trades at a worse probability than a good probability, right? You don't have a stat that 90% of the time it definitely stops there and come. You don't know that. And there's no stat like that in resistance. And you can't do that because you don't know when it's going to break. Right? That doesn't make sense. And any other analysis you use, they're giving you a way of trading as a strategy, not as analysis of direction. And I know that because I've studied them all. And I've chosen this one to give me sense of direction because this one works 80, 90% of them. It gives you the sense of direction. Now, what you need to do is have a protection to that. Your analysis is going to be wrong sometimes, right? You will get it wrong. Doesn't mean the chart is doing something. It doesn't mean wave analysis doesn't work because you're forecasting the probability of a pattern happening the way you expect it to happen. It might not happen that way. And if it doesn't happen that way, you have to protect yourself from not being in that trade. And that's where strategy comes in. So when I tell you, I expect this thing to go break the low, it doesn't mean I'm selling it immediately. It has to prove to me that it's going to break the low before I get to sell. When I said I'm 100%, let's go 99. I'll give you 1%. This thing is going to come back and break the top. It doesn't mean I'm buying right now. Or it doesn't mean I'm even buying at all. I have to have a strategy as to how I'm going to enter, when I'm going to enter, and how I'm going to manage it if it really doesn't go my way. But if you go back to all the charts and look at the forecasting we do, you would see that the patterns behave, the same way they behave most times. More than 80% of the time, when you see a flat, it will behave like the previous 100 flats you've seen. So that's what we do. We work with a probability that is in our side. We're saying these charts make patterns. The patterns repeat themselves. If you study the patterns, you understand their behavior, you understand how to identify the patterns correctly. And if you're good at doing that, the probability is on your side. But that's the probability only for the forecasting. That's the analysis. And that's what I'm giving you here. Now, sometimes we might say, hey, we're looking to sell this thing. And then we go into a trading room. 3 hours later, we see a flag for a buy. Guess what? We're going to buy it. Right? The bigger trade might still be the sell. But if we see that there's a good trade for a buy on this flag, it made a flag. We didn't expect that flag to happen. Or we were expecting a little correction, but we didn't think it's going to make a bigger correction than we expect. We will buy it. And we do that in our trading room very often. We'll take the trade, we'll get the hell out of that trade, and then we'll look for the sell in the opposite direction. Because we trade the 1 hour and 15 minutes on a daily basis. And if you're looking at a big flat, you will see smaller flats on all time frames. That's a fractal nature of the market. So if you don't understand it, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. If you don't know Chinese, it doesn't mean, if you can't speak Chinese language, it doesn't mean Chinese is not a language, right? If you can't speak any language, it doesn't mean the language doesn't exist. It means you're ignorant of it. Please go learn it. So if you don't understand these patterns, what you need to do is learn them, understand, try to understand it because it exists, it's real, and it's working. Right? Because I get a lot of things from traders. You're always saying up and down. No, why I'm saying that is I'm saying if it's going to continue to go, you will see X, Y, Z. And that means you will know that continuation. So again, What are the chances of them breaking the low? It's very, very, very high because that happens pretty often. Running flats and then regular flats are the two most common ones. This contracting flat does exist. It's not so common. And as it stands right now, it's not proving to me that it's making a contracting flat, because in that case, this one would not come back so deep and so strong to the downside. Right? There are features you're looking for. There are things you're looking for in a pattern that will tell you what are the most likely thing a pattern is going to do. Go back and ask my trader what I was telling them when this was happening. That is not an impulsive move to the upside. That this would be the corrective structure eventually. And it turned out that is the corrective structure. Now, if you understand and you see the patterns in there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if you don't understand, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Right? So what is happening here? Two things. It's either making a bigger correction, we'll make a big correction, drop, and then go back up. Or we're trying to go back up with a deep correction like this, which is strange. When you see a deep correction like that and a strong move like this happening, it doesn't look like you're making, this can't be all the correction, that is for sure. That's almost a guarantee. In a pattern like this, with the first move having so much correction, this is not the corrective structure. Can that be a part of a bigger corrective structure before we go up? Yes. But what will happen in that case? This becomes the corrective one. Or this becomes an impulsive one, then you get a corrective one, then you get another impulsive one, you get another corrective one, another impulse down, and then we go. That would make a pattern like this. But that is not how we are expecting this impulse to the upside to start. Again, that would not make sense because that's not how an impulsive move to the upside starts. It's rare. Once in a while, they start like that. And we actually have a yen pair that starts like this. Right? CAD-yen, I'll show you it. That's exactly how it started, with a big running flat at the top, and then it starts to drop. Something we identified in our trading room. And I think last week I told you that be careful, watch all the yen pairs. So it's rare for that to start. And such a deep pullback is not what you normally see in a very big impulsive move. So if you use all the features we have in this, there is still a higher probability for them to make a correction here, drop once more, and then go back up. Whereas this move would be very, very fast to the upside. Now let's see. If this is the start of it with a deep pullback, I would expect some kind of a flat at the top here, and then the takeoff. Only after we get that flat, we would confirm that this could be the possible start to the upside. As of now, we're treating it as if it's making a correction within the zone. So if we get a flag here, we'll buy. Can it reverse and come back all the way to the low? Very likely. This would just be a flat where you have a C wave that is very impulsive with an A, a B, and a C. Because if you remember last week when I was here, I was telling you this can't be only correction. There's a high probability for it to come back to this top, breaking that top, and then go down. That would be a common flat, and then we'll go break the low. But instead, they went higher, and we saw that possibility for higher. You can already see this, right? We knew, well, once you make a flag, well, it didn't end. They're going to make one more. They're going to make one more. They might make a flag and make one more. Here was a flag. Here was a flag. This could probably be a correction for one more up, right? So what you're going to look for is on the 1 hour, are we making a flag or a correction? Right now, you're not making anything. We haven't broken the slope. That is not a buy setup. I would not be buying this thing there. So what I would expect it to do is if they come break this top, come back to the low, make a flat, and then we get a buy. If you're buying here, you're buying with caution. And there are two reasons for that. One, you're getting divergence. What does that mean? That means momentum is dying out. You can already see that momentum dying out there. It's not going as sharp as you would like it to go, which means if they make one like this, they can reverse. Or they can make a deeper correction after that. So this impulse is not expected to be the biggest impulse that goes up, because you normally, when you move this much, you make a bigger correction like this or a bigger correction like this. So if they move that much, you will get a deeper correction here, even after they break the top again. If this goes and break the top, make an impulse, it is not the one that is going to happen. You can take the trade. You're probably going to get some small profit out of it, or a break even if you're very good at getting out when you understand that it's not going. You'll get break even. If you don't have all that experience, you're going to take a loss. And then you'll watch it correct and you'll say, what the hell just happened to me? Look, it's perfect. I bought the flag. Now it's not going. Yeah, because you didn't understand that that's the turning point. See? It's also all of those factors you have to have when you're trading. It's not just the sense of direction or the understanding of what the pattern is. It's knowing how these patterns behave and the experience in trading and what strategy you're using. What's your exit point? What's your trade management strategy? That by itself is a whole strategy, something we do daily, right? So if you don't have all of that, then it doesn't matter what you know, you're likely going to lose a trade. Right? So buy at the top here, you can do it. It's very risky. It becomes a very high risk, even if you have a perfect flat pattern. The trade to the upside now, every impulse to the upside now becomes risky unless we can confirm that this is starting the up trade. And we cannot confirm that as yet. There's nothing in it that says, hey, this is totally going to trend up. So we will take this trade with caution. Can we sell it? As it stands right now, it's not the best sell. You can take the risk at it, but it's not a best sell because it can be a flat, which means they'll come here, drop here, go back up. Can they continue to go down? Absolutely. Wait for another flag, that confirms downside. Wait for another flag, that confirms. The first flag, because of the depth of this pullback, is not a good one. So most likely a buy setup today. Silver absolutely will go up. So we were here and I told you silver will likely come back down here. Last week we said, look, this will be a correction. We're going to come back to this level. It did drop here, pull back. I thought definitely they're going to go up now, but instead they drop lower. Now, that is not a common feature of this pattern. This is not a common feature, but can it actually happen and we still go up? Yeah, actually it happened before on the very chart. And we went and we looked back in the past. And if you go back in the past, you would find one. I think we found one. Let me see if I can remember where it was. Where you had exactly the same pattern. I don't think it was in silver. Yep, it was in silver. And here it was. So I'll show you guys, since you're very good people out there. You're getting a lesson on wave analysis here that you should learn, and you should share it with others. Make sure you share this webinar with every trader you know so that they can learn that. So when this dropped and it made this flat here, if you were with me, and I'll chop it so you can see, I'll do this for you guys. Here, I'll chop it at this point. And if you were here and I'm giving you this analysis, I'd say, guys, you see this? We're absolutely going to make another impulse to the downside. Because when you make one and you make two, you make three. So I would tell you, absolutely, we're going to get an impulse to the downside. And if you're watching it and you watch it plays out like this, I'll go very fast. So probably like this, play very fast. You're going to watch it play out and watch it not go down. It shouldn't break that top because this is the flat that is down, but then it breaks the top, and let's stop right there. Stop. See, when it breaks that top there, you'll probably panic because that's not what it should do. This pattern should be going down, but instead we go back all the way to the top instead of down. And people who don't know wave analysis, they freak out. They're like, oh my God, look, you got it wrong. Okay, I don't mind you say that. Being right is not my point. My point is, can I take advantage of it and make money? And no, I couldn't because it didn't break out. But when it comes to the topper and we look at the pattern and we said, could that be something else? Well, in this case, it isn't something else. It's the same pattern. You can go with the WXY. All you need is a flag to sell. And I think at the top there was a flag to sell. So if we were selling it from the top, would it come back to the bottom? It did go and break that low. I think I played for you to see we come back and we broke this low, which is what you're expecting, right? And that would complete the pattern. It went lower. It made a correction and went lower, but that's beyond the point, right? They made correction go low. That's beyond the point, just to show you that that happens sometimes in the chart. So did we break through this low? Yes. What are the chances of this going back to the top? I just showed you. That probability is still high. Can we buy it from the bottom here if we get a buy setup? Absolutely. Now the question is this the one that is going to break the top? That's the only question we have now. Because if this had gone, we'll absolutely be breaking that top. But from this depth, having pulled back so much, we're going to make a move. We're definitely going to break that top, that's for sure. But when we break this top, what happens? Are we going to come back down, or are we going to continue to go up? And that is an open question. Because you can come back down and this correction can get much more complex than we think. Or you can go break the top, finish the entire thing, and start the downside. Now, the trade we're looking for today is an up move, if we get it. If there's a sell setup here, I will not be selling silver, I'll be selling gold. There's a reason for that. But if there's a buy setup, I absolutely will buy this. Do I think they're going to break the low? I do believe they're going to break the low. I believe this is going to drop, break this low. We broke it already once, but there's a good chance they'll break it again. Reverse, make flags, and then we buy. See? Gold. Gold, on the other hand, didn't have to go back up because gold has a different structure, an absolutely different structure. And before this happened, we tried to sell it from the top there in our trading room, but it didn't go. It started to consolidate. And then it eventually dropped because we looked at all the drops and they were very sharp. So the first one we took give us a drop, but that didn't go all the way like this went. And this is coming really sharp. And if you're looking at all those sharp moves and you get a correction here, if we get a correction here, then the probability of this thing going back to retest this low is very high. So can gold drop to this level and silver actually go up some? Well, this will first have to go back in a correction. And that means silver can make an impulse to the top, break the top, and then turn to the downside. So we'll see how they behave. Can this actually go back to the top there? It can, but I think that's unlikely. Because this doesn't have that big flat pattern that silver has. So I think there's a high probability of gold coming lower today, this week. Silver either correct or move slightly lower. If they turn to the upside, even if gold is going to correct to the upside, silver will make an impulse. So any buy setup, I'm buying silver, any sell setup, I'm selling gold. Because the higher probability is in that direction, right? So if you come here and you look at a 4 hour, all I need is a correction here before I do that. And I mean a 4 hour correction, right? So if you're in the 1 hour, you would see this. The first trade we were looking for was the sell that happened. This second trade, I didn't think we didn't sell this at this point. We sold it later because we didn't think that one was going to go. We got this trade down on silver. And then after that, we said, well, you can sell gold and you can sell gold. Here was a sell in gold we took in last week in the room. Under 15 minutes, that was a sell setup. From this point, see that flat there? Sell setup, drop, good trade. What is it doing now? Well, I think we're making corrections. Right? Right now, it could go much higher as a deeper correction. If we get a buy setup, we'll take it. If I get a flag here for a shorter term trade, we'll take that trade and we'll probably definitely buy silver. Right? On the longer term, we'll have to wait for a bigger correction before you can consider the sell. If you get a flag here, I don't think a flag here is a good idea to sell. It's already not going to make a flag. It has to make a flat. So most likely we're going to have corrections this week. Upside corrections in the gold. I don't think the gold is going to make an impulse to the upside. It's going to correct to the upside. It's going to correct the entire week, which means you might get both buys and sell setups in it. Silver would be buy setups, very good. Euro. So euro came down a little more than we thought to because we didn't break the top. Same thing like the dollar index. We did not break the top as yet. They came here, they didn't break the top. They came here, they didn't break the top, and they're coming down. So two things you're expecting. Those were sell setups that they're either making a bigger flat here and then go break the top, or we're reversing as a contracting flat. So what we would do, we can't confirm the contracting flat, but we can take the sells, which means we can take this sell, we can take that sell, we can take this sell, and there's a sell set up here this morning. Now you can see the sells are getting, there is a very sharp move. The flags are small, so the probability of this just dropping here and turning to the upside for a correction is very, very high. So if you're going to take this trade, most of you, by the time you see this, that little piece will finish, and you might start to see it actually going up as a corrective structure, correcting itself to the upside. That correction is very likely going to come because in the 4 hour, you've seen we made a single drop without, this was this only correction there. A big correction is expected here. So when this drop, there's a good chance it might not go very far. If you're going to sell this, you have to be very, very careful that when it dropped, it's not going very far. We're going to start to correct very soon. But you can take the trade. You might be lucky, you drop one sharp drop and then reverse. You get the profit, you get out of it. Pong is the only one I told you last week. It could totally go down because we made a new top. On the daily, that's a top. We broke the top. So we're not expecting Pong to go more. Pong doesn't need to break this top. Euro needs to break that top. Pong doesn't need to break that top to go down because we broke the low in the structure, right? If we're looking at this as one big structure, we broke the low of it. So this doesn't need to go down, to go up more. It can actually start a very, very sharp move to the downside. Literally come back all the way to the low. So that means every sell setup you get in the Pong, you'll take it. Are we expecting more corrections? I think, yeah, you should get some more corrections, right? But now that it's going very sharp, we'll sell it. We'll keep selling. So if you want to sell, the Pong is the best idea to sell today. And it's already going to happen very soon. We already have an entry order from the Asian session this morning. Put an entry order there for the trade because if it falls, it's a running flat and we'll see how far it goes. Can they make bigger corrections? Of course they can. So when they tag you, if it looks like it's not going, we have strategies how to exit the trade and then wait for the bigger correction or buy your way up in the bigger correction. Depends how big that correction is going to be. So this is going to go down a lot more. We do have divergence. This one might not go very far. I think they're all going to correct. They might drop here this morning and then you'll start to see bigger corrections happen. So by the time most of you see the webinar, you will already be looking at the corrections happening to the upside. Aussie. Okay, Aussie definitely, even if you break the low, I'm not selling Aussie because Aussie, I don't think is starting any down move here. Although we broke that low, all I'm looking for is a possible running flat in here. Because this is a very big correction, that in the middle, and we have this one, which is kind of sharp. It's not that sharp and it's not that corrective. But when you're looking at patterns and you have this in the middle of it, well, the chances are you're making a running flat. So we're going to expect Aussie to go back to that direction this week. Can it drop a little first to the downside? I think that's possible. We might see this drop and break the low. I was expecting them to go up this morning, but there's a chance that it can drop and break this low, but I don't think this will break the low because this move down was really sharp. So if we're going to go, we'll probably come back like this. This would be a running flat. You probably get one more up, something like that. And then after that, you can get one more low. If we're going to sell this, we'll sell it with caution because it's going to make one more down and then the likelihood of that upside will start. Because Aussie will go back up. It has to go back to complete that pattern. It's a running flat pattern, but they will go back and complete it before the next drop happens. And it's going to drop back because it only has two parts of the wave. We're in the P part of it, right? So let's keep an eye on this one. New Zealand. Same thing. I think we're making a running flat. This is already confirming the running flat there. You've got this and you've got this. And all the messes in the middle. You can see that. So, yep, put an entry order for a buy here on the upside. Right? That is just, we're still within the B wave on the Aussie, right? So this is where we are on the New Zealand too, right? The question is that New Zealand could actually be making, if you look at this, we could be making an impulse to the downside. You can assume that the corrective part of the New Zealand is finished at this point. Right, because we've got a flat in here. So you could assume that that's a 1, 2, 3, and this is going down like this one to break the low and continue to go. Or we could still be looking at all of this as a bigger correction in the making. Now, this is too short time-wise to be all the correction. It could be by the features, but in time-wise, it's too short. So I think there's a high probability that we're just making a bigger complex flat in the middle here. Now we will see, which means if we get trades to the upside from this point, we'll buy it. If we get a correction in its downside, we'll sell it, which means if this becomes a bigger correction, if this makes one more up like that, don't go very far. Start to turn to the downside. We'll go for the sell. And the breakout, we'll go for the sell. So first, we were assuming that it's going to make a big correction. We'll take the buy. The buy is a corrective move to the upside for now until it, we prove that that is some kind of bigger part of the impulsivity. It's still in a B wave, so you have to still be cautious when you're trading in the correction. Swiss, same thing on the daily. Swiss hasn't broken this low, and it has to literally break that low because then the pattern will be a different pattern from the one we're looking at, right? So it's coming up really sharp, which means if we get flagged, we're going to buy to retest that top, see whether it's making some kind of a more complex pattern. If they start to drop from that, I don't think this is the correction. That would be part of a corrective structure. So if they start to drop it, it's going to be very, very complex. Right, it's going to be a much bigger complex pattern before you go down. So if we get buy setups, we'll go with it after a flag. This definitely needs to come down first. If we get sell setups, we'll take it. So you're making a flag here, which means this has to come here and then go. Or drop like this and then do this and drop some more. This could be the first impulse to the downside for a deeper correction. And by deeper correction, I mean correcting this entire thing. So do you want to buy this at the top here if it breaks out? Now, no. If they come back down and then break out, if they drop like this and then break out, well, you have a flat. You might get another impulse. But if it's as small as this, the impulse might be smaller, small like that, small like this, or even smaller than that. Break the top, drop, make flag, sell. So there is buy setups right now that you can take. We'll probably we'll analyze it, decide whether the risk is worth the reward. Maybe not. You ignore the trade, let it make a new high, look for the sell setup because it has to correct those big moves. Now, if it is trending to the upside to really go break the top, then, they can make small corrections and go, but I'll be very cautious. Even if we buy this, we'll, be very cautious. But the sell, I think it's a very good sell. CAD is the only one you should buy. I said it last week and I'm saying it again. You can buy the CAD. Because this is a low. See, this is a low. That's a small correction there. And this is the low on the weekly. We're broken the weekly. So CAD as a buy is absolutely always correct. Just take the buy anytime you get it. So do we have a buy setup here? Well, not as yet. You can see the sharp move, and we don't have anything. We're correcting right now. So I would probably like to see this, even if we break that top there, pull back like that, give us a running flat, and we're absolutely buying. So once we confirm that pattern as a complete pattern, we're looking for buy setups of CAD. And we'll probably continue by it. Yen is downside. CAD is upside, yen is downside. Look at the bigger picture. So last week I told you this is the correction. We'll come back here. So I wouldn't be surprised if CAD corrects to the downside and yen just falls here before we go back up. This would be a big flat, and this would be one more up. So there's a trade to the downside here in the yen. Can yen go one more up like this, comes to this level, and then go one more up like that, and then come back? Possible. Not necessary, but possible. This morning, we're looking for a sell. We're assuming it's going to make a running flat. And because we have this flat in here, there's a good chance that this might be the one that goes for a running flat there and then go down. Give us a flat like that, and that'd be a good sell setup. If not, make a flag, and we'll sell the flag. So 1 second, guys. Yep, sorry about that. Yes, so it either makes a running flat, we sell it, or it makes a flag, we sell it. On the break of this structure, you would look for a flag, definitely, and go for the sell. Or if they make a flag or anywhere in there, we'll sell it. If they pull back sharp, which I expect, which I think most likely is going to happen for the running flat, because every time we see this, we tend to get a running flat. So I think somewhere here they can pull back like this. You know, you get something like that, and we'll probably go for the sell. Either way, either a flag or a pullback, we're selling. All the yen pairs, guys. So if you're following me for a while, I think I've shown this already in the daily and all the yen pairs. The euro yen is the only one we think still has some more to probably go, unless it's a contracting flat again. Go some more there before you come down. That probability exists, but all the other yen pairs, pound yen, I'll just show you in the hour daily first, because we're going to go through them in the hourly. Flat pattern, we're going to go back down one more. I think I showed this already sometime previously. It doesn't have to break the top, by the way. It can start to fall. Aussie yen, we're correcting. Aussie yen is a correction downwards. It's not the fall, it's a correction. We do have divergence here, so this would be a much bigger correction. New Zealand yen is a correction. It's going to be a very big correction because we have divergence. We're going to have a huge correction, right? CAD, Swiss yen, it's a fall, which means we're coming to break this low, right? We're coming down totally to break that low. You have 1, you have 2, you have 3. We have already started that downside. So you can literally see that that downside is already started, which means there's a big move to the downside, right? I've shown all these trades before that this thing is going to come down really big. Is it going to hit? And here's the thing. We're assuming that that move is going to happen. Is it going to happen? We'll see. But if it happens, let's say this thing turn and go back up. Don't you think we'll see buy setups and we'll buy it? Absolutely. But the big forecast is showing that that big move is going to happen. And if that big move is going to happen, you should get it. You shouldn't miss it. Now, this is only one impulse down on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So at some point, even this impulse will make a correction, right? It'll make some kind of a correction here. By the way, our traders got, a lot of them got a lot of the yen pairs because we've been focusing on them in the whole week. We knew this was going to correct. A lot of them, you get this, and then you're going to drop. See, they make corrections. They make corrections. They make corrections. All the way they make corrections, even in the impulses. So wait for some kind. You don't need for the biggest correction. In the downside, you just need a 1 hour flag or something. We don't have a 1 hour flag. We were selling these smaller ones, but the minute you get a 1 hour flag, now you are in a sell and you'd sell. So we'll look for sell setups. Cadian, same thing. Big picture downside. I told you I'm going to show you the running flat on the big running flat and the start of a big impulse to the downside on one of these pairs. So the Cadian is the one that happened. If you go to the 1 hour and we actually tracked it and we figured that out because we were selling it from the top and if something wasn't really going right in the middle here. And I said, guys, be careful. We might get a running flat. Because of this one, we got a running flat and then downside. Well, the downside has started. Wait for correction sells. Any correction you're going to get, sell this thing. It's going to go. All the yen pairs are going to be trending to the downside. They just need to make hourly and 4 hour corrections, and that will prove another impulse. Take the trades. Now, if you can get any of these trades or you're not figuring out how to sell them or they're too difficult for you, join us, we'll help you. Let's go. So on the hourly, wait for flag sell. That's all I'm going to say on those yen pairs, right? Wait for flags hourly. You can't sell now. This is gone. You have to wait for it to make another flag, and it will. They always make flag, right? You can see how much flags you're making. It doesn't go very fast. This will stop, make a flag, and that's your sell setup. Pretty simple. EuroCAD. We're still in this corrective looking piece, and it is going out of it now, which means this didn't come all the way to the low, but that's okay. It doesn't have to go all the way to the low. It could be a contracting flat in the middle here. So we'll probably go with that as a contracting flat. We're coming up to the top there. There's probably one more buy. And the way this is going, there's a big move in the Euro CAD to the upside, but the way this piece is going up here, I think we're likely going to retest the low before that happens. Right? So if you get a buy set up here today, one more impulse. That's about it. Euros. So we're at the top of this structure. We went all the way to the top of this thing. Now there's a high probability we're going to come back here because we still have to get this move. We can't, it's not accounted for. It's not fitting in the structure anywhere. So at some point, this might come down here and then go back up. There was a buy setup on Friday. See that buy setup there? It break the top. Can they go a little higher? I think they can still go. You can still retest the top. If they retest that top again, then we'll probably be careful of the downside. Right? Not that the downside is not going to happen. It's just that it will probably be a bigger running flat here before you get the downside like this one, a big flat like this, right? If that happens, then this might, if you break the top, you might just come back here, make a big flat, do another one, and then come down. That possibility happens. It can extend the B part of the structure, which is this going up. We're going up as a corrective structure right now. If we take this off, this is a sharp move. This is a relatively sharp move, but we don't have anything to fit this one. So we're just making flags going up, making flags going up, making flats going up. So this whole thing is a correction. Once that thing is completed, there's a big move to the downside. But we just have to wait. That'll be a long time from now before that is completed. What is the trade on this on the 1 hour today? Right now, it looks upside as a running flat. You can literally see this piece, expanding flat, sorry. We've got an expanding flat here, and we're trying to go up one more. That's just one more impulse. I don't think that's a good buy. Because from that point, we could be looking to the downside. Euro New Zealand in a corrective structure. Euro New Zealand, this could go a little more too, and then we were expecting. We did break the top, so if they're turning, we can go for the sell. Which means if this gives us a flag here, we're going for the sell. If they go make a new high and then give a flag, we're selling. Can we buy this to the upside? There's no buy setup there. That's not a flag to buy. Right? So this is the pattern, and it's what we expect it to do. Go a little more and then start the downside. Can this be the big start to the upside for the big weekly trade? I don't think so. Too much corrections in it, but we'll see. If it makes another flag or another flat, we'll go. We don't have a flag. We don't have a flat. That's a pullback. Right? There's no flag. Can we look at a possible running flat with this piece here as a running flat? Maybe you could put an entry here and see how far that goes. Right? We can look for that possibility. I don't think it's the best buy from this point. So we'll see how it behaves, but the bigger trade should be to the downside. Euro Swiss. Okay, this broke out and it's going up. We'll watch the top of this channel when they get there, because it's likely they might make one more down. Why? Because they're not going as impulsive as I'd like it to go. But here we'll take every buy we get, and we're getting a flag for a buy. So this is definitely a buy setup. See that? Put an entry here for the buy, and let's see how far that goes. Right? If they go slow, they will probably just come to the top and drop again before the big move start. But if this is the start of the big move, this one will probably go very impulsive to the upside. So keep your eyes on this. Is a very good one. If this goes down, do we have a sell setup? Can they go down from here and retest the low? They can, but it's unlikely. Europound, we're looking for buy setups. We finally broke the low, right? They finally broke the low, and now you're expecting this to go up. So let's see where we are in the big picture. Yep, up and then down again. Why do we need another down? I don't think we need it, because that is, we're trying to get this one up, this sharp move up. So it's probably going to go higher. Right, we're trying to get a sharp move like this to the upside. That is this one. From this point. So we could probably see this thing go a little higher. We're going to be looking at this flat. I'll cut that one just to show this flat. And then we'll probably see it come down one more before the big move starts, before we expect a big move to the upside. Right, those are the probabilities of what we're looking at. So I'll take the small one out. If we get buy setups here, we should take it. Right, if it breaks out of that structure, which means if it doesn't make this but totally take off, that'd be good. But I don't think that's what we're doing. Right, based on the pattern, we haven't completed it. So some up move here. If you get up moves, if you get buy setup, go for the trade. They're making a flag there for a buy, so that's a good trade. And then you go to pound New Zealand. Big picture, this looks downside. Right, this trade looks downside. We were expecting one more down like this. So if we get a flag here, we sell. Can it still go up some more before that downside start? Yes. If you get a flat here, we'll buy. So this has to do this, come back here, make a flat, and then we'll go for the buy. But if you get a flag here, we'll sell it. Right, so a flat means there's one more impulse to the upside. A flag means that downside is started already. And what we were expecting is one more down, then the upside again. Pause. Same here, but this looks more upside. This is starting to look more upside right now. See, there you're getting more of a corrective structure. You got a sharp one there. Let's get a sharp one here. Probably one down. We can look for a sell setup from the top here. And if that just comes to this level to go back up, we'll exit the trade. But if it keeps going down, that's good. Can it keep going down from that point? I think we can. The bigger picture is downside. Even if they make one more up, the big picture in this looks downside, right? We're in this pattern. And this is the corrective part of it, right? That's the B part. So we need to get this move down, that move up. So this move down, this move up, and then we'll totally go down. So we're the top. It means even if they push one more or push one more, you have to take those with caution. There might be a buy setup. You have to take it with caution because the trade you're looking for is downside. I hope this week we get that down move, and I hope it's a fast one. Bankad. Okay, so we were expecting this to go up, and it will go. It's just not going the way we expect it to go, right? It's kind of consolidating a lot there. I'm not expecting them to drop really for one more low. There's no need for that. The patterns are perfect. You've got this one. You've got this one. And I think that can be completed because we broke the top. So this doesn't need to break this low. There's no need for them to come and break the low. We don't have to break this low. We broke the top there for that pattern, right? So this was the impulse up. This was the correction. That was the impulse up. We came down back. We could go up back. So we're going up back now for this one, this sharp move here. And on the 4 hour, it's not going as yet, which means it's kind of making very corrective move. It's going up, but that thing is really, really, really slow. So that's not how I expected the bigger up move to happen, but it's going like that. So right now you can see there's a big flat there. Let's take this off. All right, there's a big flat there. I was expecting that we'll make one more down move before, but that is no longer valid. I think this is the flat, this is the move. So you've got 1, 2, 3, very, very, very slow going up. That's weird. Not that we have seen impulse behave like this, but that's when the impulse is making what we call a squeeze. We call that the AB squeeze, where the C wave starts to squeeze for a drop. And that means it should drop beyond this low. I'm really not expecting that to happen. So if you're going to take buys here, if you're taking buys, it's useless. You're going to have break even. Because if you bought this, that's break even. If you bought this, it's break even. If you bought that, it's break even. If you buy this, it's break even. If you buy this, it's break even. If you buy here, it's likely going to do this and start to pull back. You take out the trade for break even. So the buys are useless now until it starts to get very impulsive. If it starts to get impulsive, we'll probably consider it. But if they drop, with the way this is behaving, it looks like we might make a new low. If they go up there and they start to drop, it looks like we might make a new low. Retest this low. With this being an A-B squeeze here, retest the low and then start the upside. Because the pattern we were looking for here last week didn't play out. So no problem. We're not worried about that. It's a different pattern. We just relook at it and then wait for the trade setups. Pound Swiss. Okay, so this is going up. We've got that. So it's like a 1, 2, 3. It could be more corrective in here, but we were expecting it to break the top and we didn't break the top. Maybe they'll still go break the top. If it comes down, we would look for a more complex pattern, which means this B wave is becoming more complex, right? I don't think that's defined. I don't think it's a contracting flat for downside. So let's see what we have here in the 1 hour. For trade setups, nothing. Because you've got a sharp move up. You've got this, you've got that, you're getting this, you're going to get this. When we get that, we'll look for a sell setup. At least one more impulse down. So this one, you would have to trade each pattern you have separate, because it could both go up and down. If when you're in a correction, that's what could happen. Aussie CAD looks upside, it broke out, but it didn't go, and now they're dropping. So let's see what we have here. Could this be a running flat? I think it's very likely a running flat in the middle here. And if that's the case, then we're going to make one more low. Right, if that's the case, then this is going to make one more low here. Right, that is all the correction you get. And this should probably drop once more, make a new low, and then go back up again. I think the upside is very likely. The only question is when this down piece is finished. Right, we're going to make a big correction in here. This is the first impulse down on that correction. So we'll see. You might get one more down, and that's about it. One more drop, and then we might start the upside. We'll see, because this looks like a big running flat in the making. Aussie New Zealand, stay away from that. Aussie Swiss, also in the correction. And this was a sell, but that would probably have been a break even because it didn't go anywhere. And it still doesn't look like they're going to go anywhere. We're coming down in this thing, and we're probably coming down very slow. So I wouldn't be surprised if they break the low again. We start looking for that upside, right? A bigger move to the upside. Because this the downside is useless. You're not getting the trade. And even when you take the trades, they give you break even because they're not, it's going very slow. This would probably drop and break the low before they turn, but not a good sell. New Zealand Swiss. Same thing. It's going down some more. The sell would have been a break-even trade. Take it out. And it probably will retest this low. They're making a big flat. I think we might even put it like this, most likely. As a bigger flat like that. So we might retest the low and then start the upside. Right? So let's say one more low in this bigger structure. Just drop once more, and then we start looking for buy setup. Can we sell it there one more time? Let's see if we get a sell setup there. If they make a small flag, it will be worth the sell. You wouldn't get good risk to reward from here trading it to the upside, right? Trade it to the downside. You'd have to put an entry here, a stop here, and all they need to do is break this low and reverse. So that's not a good trade. The upside is a better trade when it break the low. New Zealand CAD, okay, we finally broke this low. Take that off. And we're making an impulse to the upside. So what does this look like? Well, it could go up some more. Right, it could go up some more from here as a correction. Let's see. We get a flag, we'll buy it. This is a sharp move up. So if you get a flag here, that'll be a buy setup. Let's wait for it. Let's go. Okay, I hope we have a trader trading this, or at least one or two traders. That's good buy setup. This might be the start of that big up move, right? This could be the start of the very big up move because this is a big running flat in the weekly. On the weekly, that's a big running flat. So the up move is very likely, and this could be the start. There's nothing else that is required of this. So that was a buy setup there. And if you took it, you're doing well. There's another buy setup here. There's one this morning. Wait for another flag buy. Cat Swiss. Okay, we broke the top. This didn't go anywhere. All the Swiss pairs are still in the downtrend. They're still correcting downwards. Right, so we're still going down. So this is going to go one more down. Not the best thing to trade. Let it drop, and then we'll probably see what happens with it. You're not going to give you good risk to reward in a correction like that going down. Silver, if you took that sell and you kept it, well, if not, wait for more sell setups. Not silver, sorry, copper. Right, this was a good sell. That was an amazing one. And if you still, more flag sell, if there's any more flag you get in here, take it. That was a sell setup there too. So wait for corrections, wait for flags. You may probably want to wait for a correction now, not just a flag. You have a flag here. If you sell it with caution, because it might drop and pull back for a deeper correction. Yeah, they need to correct this move. That move is not corrected. So at some point, the correction starts. Oil. There was an attempt to break out of this structure, but we didn't break. See, they're looking for a flag here. There was a flag there. Then looking for another flag here. They didn't break. They actually pulled back deep. Every time they pull back deep, you're thinking flat, not flag, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we make a flat here, make a new high, and then start coming down, or they could actually start dropping. Let's see, do we have any sell setups? No. No sell setups, no buy setups. Can we get a buy setup on it? If you make a flag, we could go for it. it'll probably be a bigger correction near some kind of a running flat. Now, there are two possibilities on this thing. First possibility is we're actually making a running flat. So they're going to come back to this level and then go up. Or the second one is we're totally dropping because this is the contracting flat. This here is the contracting flat. Now, I don't like that contracting flat, and I really don't like contracting flats in the first place. So I would wait for them to negate the possibility of a running flat, of this flat first. Both of them are downside, right? So if we get sell setups from here, we will take it. Can this make a flat here and make one more high? That's possible. If it's making a flat here for one more, then what is going to happen is this is going to be corrective. We're going to drop a little more here and then go up, make a flat in here. So if you take a sell setup, you likely get break even out of it. Right? US oil, same thing, same pattern, same structure. Right? So on both of them, this is either contracting flat or running flat. The sell was very good on Friday. Was it Friday? I think it was Friday or Thursday. I think that was a really good sell setup. This one didn't go. So that would be a break even or a small loss on that one. But this one was a really good one. They're going up now, so we can put this as a flag. And this is sharp. This is sharp. So we're probably making a correction, a bigger correction here. This one actually went up pretty high. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to correct downwards, make another one, pull back, and then go. So we'll probably get a bigger flat here before we go. If they make a bigger flat there, we will definitely get the trade to the upside. Can it start to drop? Well, not from there. It has to drop very sharp before we decide we're selling it. Natural gas. A little more down. They didn't finish that pattern. We're expecting a running flat there, but I didn't think they completed the pattern. So I expect some more downside here, and then we'll see for the upside. Right? Let it drop a little more down, and then we'll look for the buy setup. So can you sell it? Well, if you get a sell setup, because we're in this thing going up, and at some point this starts to come down. I think this one here is the two possibilities. If you look at this as the flat, the running flat, then this is the top. We're coming down here. But if you look at this as the possible, let's say this is a separate correction of its own, and you look at this as the possible running flat, then you're going to come here, make a new high, and then come back. So which one? Doesn't matter. Wait for the pattern, wait for the flats or the flags and sell. You guys started? Okay, so this one actually dropped deeper than we expected. So the question is this all the correction in there? I don't think so. I think we're going to have some running flat patterns here. Right, there's possible because we still have this sharp move and there's nothing to go with it. So somewhere along the line, we're going to have some corrections, except it's going to be slightly different from this. So let's take these out. The same combination of waves are going to happen, but now as a running flat. Right, so they'll start from this point. This still will be, I don't think that's all the correction. This one is really sharp to be the correction. So at some point, we're going to get a correction up. So what we look for is, if they make a flag here, you sell. If they make a sharp move, look for sell. It doesn't matter which one comes. A flag we sell, that was a sell. This probably would have been a sell. I didn't remember watching that one. But we don't have anything for this sharp move. Or we don't have anything for this. So at some point, they're gonna correct back up, drop again, correct back up, and then drop. So we'll have a whole series of different patterns. I don't see anywhere else we can look at this. Can we look at this as a running flat and ending it? It's a contracting flat there. Maybe. Probably we'll look at that possibility. But from here, if to sell, you definitely need a flag or a flat. Better if you get a correction before you sell it. I would not sell from this point unless it's a correction. Can they go back up from here? That is also likely. If we think that's all the flat in there, then that is likely. I don't think that's all the flat because I can't see the clear patterns in it. So we will wait, let the patterns develop, and then we'll decide. But if we get flag, we'll take one impulse down. That's one sell. Because there was a number of cells coming down, right? You can see that. There's a number of cells set up. That was a sell. I think this was a sell. This was a sell, but they're very small. You're going to get small trades, and then that's it. NASDAQ. Okay, this one worked perfect. This one is still upside until you break through. So that will still be buy setups. If you get a buy setup from here going up, that would be a buy. If it breaks through, make flag, we sell. Right? It has to break through the structure, make flag, and then you sell. Put it like this. Let them break through that structure, make flag, only then you sell. S&P 500, perfect sell setup. This one we expected downside, and this did exactly what we wanted it to do. We're expecting some more downside. So if you get this, that's a sell setup here, and then we look for the upside. We're making a running flat here. So this one has a perfect pattern. Like I said, when the pattern works the way you get it, you get the trade. When it doesn't go the way you want it, well, you missed the trade, no problem, you're not going to be in it. DAX, perfect, drop. That's a perfect sell setup from this point. See? Sell, this was the second sell setup. What we were expecting, corrections, and then maybe another drop. So what I'm looking at, the way I'm looking at this is that this piece is making a running flat here. So the probability of this going back up is very high. We don't have a buy setup. If they make a flag, we'll still sell because they can come lower, and then go back up. Right? That's what we're looking for. So from this point, if we get buy setups, we'll take it. If they're correct, we'll take one more sell. Every sell is one more last drop. The buy, we'll buy it to break the top so we can hold on to the buys. Are you 200? Okay, finally this thing is dropping. And last week when this happened, I said, if that is true, if that is real, I don't know if it's real, sell. Look for sell setup. So this was a sell setup, it actually dropped. Yeah, I think there are more sell setups coming here. There are literally a lot more. Any correction you get, any flag you get could be sell setups. Because you can take these out now. Those are all ones, tops and bottoms. And we're in this one and we're coming down really fast. We broke the top. So if you go back and you watch this thing when it was doing this, I was saying this thing cannot drop until we break the top. Right? I was insisting it's not going to drop, even when it was making sharp moves down, right? When we made that sharp move down, when we made these sharp moves down, I was like, no, we're not selling this until we break the top. And there's a reason for that. This is the pattern. Now that the top is broken, all hell broke loose. It can go way down to the bottom. So any sell setup you get there, you should go for it. Especially if you get another correction like this, you probably wait for corrections. Let them make a correction like this, and that's a good sell. Not a correction, sell. So every correction you get like this is a sell setup. Flags you can sell as well, but you undersell it flags from the top, not from the bottom. So wait for a correction, sell. Nifty. Nifty still is in this structure, so I think you may want to wait. You may want to wait a little before you buy or you sell. If they consolidate under here, we sell. If they go back up, you can buy for one more impulse. Go back, make a flag, take one more impulse up. Because this structure could break out anytime. We broke the top, this could come down anytime. I think we're assuming they're going to make a running flat here. Not necessary, but that possibility exists for one more impulse up as a running flat. So I'll take this off and trade this piece separately. Tesla, still in the corrections. I think Tesla will take a while. They'll probably correct. I wouldn't be surprised if this corrects more to the upside. Come back here and start to go up more and then come down. So this could be a more long drawn out corrective structure. Can you sell it here? Well, you don't have a sell set up in it. Amazon. So Amazon structure might be slightly different from what we thought. So let's go through this structure. Remember, I said Amazon should come to about this level because we're looking for this impulse now. I was expecting this to be a small correction, drop there, and then go back up. But instead of that, they made the correction. We saw this correction here. I thought they'll make a flat, like come there and then drop, but they actually keep going up. And that is totally different from what we expected. So the question is, can we look at this as the impulse? Just that piece there, not the whole piece like this. And I think, yes, you can do that, which means it's not coming to this level. And we might be starting that up move already, right? Now, I still need confirmation of that. Because if this move had made that piece and then go up, absolutely buy. Because the size of those two would be pretty normal, right? This one is a little shorter impulse and it's not against any ruler. So that could be like that. For a pattern that is a running flat, that's qualifying enough. So what we would do now is if this is the start of the upside, let them make a flag here and break out. That's your buy. Better yet, if they come out of here and then make a correction and go, that's an absolute buy setup. Can they actually still drop like this to the downside here again? It can, but that would be strange because this This is a sharp impulse, and that one is not so sharp. That's a three-wave structure. So in that case, we will relook at the entire pattern. Maybe it's going to be much more long drawn out than I think it is, which means we might stay in this correction for a much longer period of time, and we will make a more complex pattern. And it's already complex as it is. But can it make a much more complex pattern? Of course. We've seen the punk had done it for 5 years or 3 years, three to five. I think it was 5 years, run sideways 5 years. So we've seen the Aussie, New Zealand run sideways for about 4 years. So these pairs could go sideways for a long period of time before they go up. So any correction here, buy. It has to drop, make a flag before you can sell. I think the buy is most likely. I think that will be the end of the structure, and we're totally going up. So far, this thing has been amazing. See? Only this piece failed to come to that level before the upside. So if it goes up from here, you got it. You're ready for that up move now, right? So let's go for the trade. See, these are simple patterns. These are complex patterns. Let's see. Go for the buy. BA Finance, let's see in the 1 hour what it looks like. It looks like a buy setup forming there. And Reliance looks like a buy setup. Looks like more correction to me. There's no buy setup there as yet. It's still correcting. So take off this. This looks like a correction for one more drop at least. And PayPal. PayPal did what we expected to do. That is, it went up back within the correction, and I think we're going up within the correction. So if you start to get sell setups, that would make sense. Make an impulse, make a flag, go for the sell. On the 1 hour, you get any sell setup, you can take it. Can they go up some more? Yeah, they can come up all the way to the top. So if you get flags for buys, you can take it as well. But now you have to be very cautious with the buy setups. We broke the stop. So the sells are going to be higher probability trade to the downside. Bitcoin. Yep, the magic is happening. Put it like this for you to see. So, like the one I just showed you on I think it was Amazon, we're making a complex pattern here. We got 1, 2, 3. We got 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2. We're expecting this to come a little more down here, go back up there, and then downside. Because you need this impulse up, and then total downside. How far down? Well, I don't know how long it's going to take, how far it's going to go. I'm not in the guessing business, but we're going to come down, and we might likely break this low. Can this pattern become more complex than that? It can, which means we can be in the sideways for a longer period of time. That would be a much more complex pattern. The one I'm drawing is the simplest of the patterns that can form based on what we have. So we've got an impulse down that is a three-wave structure, 1, 2, 3. You get a big correction here. You're likely going to go down much more. How low? Well, minimum it's going to be below 29,000. And then from there, it's anybody's guess how low it goes. I have no idea. So 100,000, I think you can kiss that goodbye for now. On the next impulse, maybe. When the next impulse is going to happen? Well, normally these correction takes about a year to happen. If the previous correction is any indication of how long these corrections could take, you could go back and check it. It's not that difficult, right? These things are stats. You can check them, right? You can go back, pick the top of this one, bring it down to the low, which was somewhere here. And that took you 367 days. Now that is not exact because I didn't pick the exact point and I didn't pick the exact point. You have to make them bigger and pick the exact points. But on an average around a year. If you're picking this correction as a bigger correction like that, I think we haven't finished a year as yet. We're pretty much very early in it. This is the top. And we're somewhere here. So we're pretty much only about 6 to 9 days. Congratulations, you have over 300 days more correction. Both up and down. So we're going to go down a little, then we're going to go up, and then we're going to come down. How high would this one go also? I don't know. This one sometimes tend to, they come here and they tend to go up pretty high all the way to the top here before you come down. I don't think it's going to go that high. I think we're going to break this top somewhere here, and then we're going to start the downside. So with all of this and all of this, with all the corrections you're going to have in it, you'll probably be there about 300 something days. Look at the last correction. The first drop was sharp, right? The first drop was very sharp. Then they made a flat. See how long that flat took? There's the first sharp drop along, and then look at it, they went down. Very, very, very slow. So all the time consumes in this part, not in the first drop. So the first drop we already have, that's a sharp one. That is this one. All the time will consume in this and the downside. 300 days. Working it. XRP is the only one that didn't break the top previously. We didn't break that top, see? So if there's anything that could make a spike to the upside, I mean a really big spike, go for XRP, right? This is the only one that has the possibility to make a really huge spike to the upside now. Now, I don't think this one is gonna make the spike because this is pretty slow at the bottom there. This is making a correction. You kind of have a move up, you're pulling back against it. So you would probably come back here, go back down, and then go here. Could this be a flat for downside, or is it gonna come all the way to the top here and then go down? Whichever, it is gonna go down one more. I don't think this is the one taking off. So we'll probably get some corrections here, drop one more, and then we'll look for the upside. So this could drop one more and then go, right? Because I thought this was all a flat, but then this didn't go impulsively. That means we're still in the correction. We're making a more complex corrective structure. Can this actually retest the low before they go? There's no reason for that to happen, but it can happen. We can retest the low and then go. Right? There's no necessity for that. Can we look at this as the B part of the structure? That might be so. If you want to look at this whole piece here as the B part of the structure to the top there, and we're trying to come down to this level and then go, that could possibly happen. Right now, this structure is not showing any sign of that happening, but it's possible it could happen. So keep an eye on that, right? 1 second, guys. I'll just mute myself for a second, take a sip of water. Sorry about that. Let's go. Dot. They're all correcting. You see, we broke the top there. That's a new high, and we're correcting, right? So the top is broken, and you're coming down. That means you're going to get a correction here. Pretty much, if you look at it, you're getting a daily correction here. On the 4 hour, you can see that. It's correcting. On the 1 hour, you can see that you're correcting, right? So we're making more corrections. We make a new low, bring this across here, put it like this. You can see the flat in it. You can see this flat here. Right? It's coming down some more, and then we're going to expect upside. Upside in a correction. This is the first impulse. Everything that happens here will be a correction. So this could go down a little more, go down a little more, then it will have to go up like this. See the has a 1, 2, 3 there. We'll have to go up for a 1, 2, 3, make a big flat, and then downside. So whichever way you get a flag, take the impulse, and get out of it. Same here, all of them. This one is with correct. This is the impulse, and we're correcting downwards. We eventually go back up. Whenever the downwards is finished, they can come break the low and then go back up. Right? Same thing with Ethereum. Downside. Ethereum is making a very complex one here because this is becoming a running flat here. See this? This is becoming like this. You probably go back up there, make a running flat, come back down here, go back up there, and then downside. See that? This is going to be a flat pattern. If it breaks this low, that will confirm the downside first, but after the upside. Right? You break the low and then go up, that confirm a running flat. Let's hope it's not a running flat for those who are stuck in the trade. Because if you're stuck in that trade at the top here, you're in trouble. Right? Dash. This already break out of the structure. So this is the flat. That's not a very good flat. I think we'll make a more complex flat. I don't think that's the flat there. This piece here. It's a small one. But let's see. We're still coming down. We don't have this impulses yet, right? We're still going to get that impulse up. So all these are correcting downwards. They can correct, but then they're going to do an impulse like that and then go down. So watch out for that impulse to come. I don't know if you guys trade all of this. I put them on for a period of time, but I don't think anybody traded. I'm just going to skip them for now. LTC, we're correcting downwards. So you got another correction here. See this? You got another correction there. You go. Put all of this as the big correction here now. So it's becoming easy for you now, like this, like this, like this. Come back here. Upside, back to the top. And then down. See, it's fitting in place. Can they come much lower than this before they go back up? Yep, you will get a running flat. If they break this low, it's a running flat. Pretty simple, right? Take this off. That was the top that we broke, or the previous top. So I'm just going to put these stops. That's the impulse. Wait for it to come here and then upside. You can look for the buy setup anytime. And ADA is probably the same thing. Yep, you got a running flat here. You got a small running flat there. I think that looks like a small running flat to me. This is the move down. You get a correction. You go down a little more. And then we'll see there's a number of waves that could happen in this one, up and down. So if you're trading it, You will expect some downside, then upside, then downside, then some more upside. So you're going to be in this sideways for a long time before you drop. So whichever way you get a flag, take the trade. The flag, one more impulse. Just trade every single impulse is the last one. And then go on from there, right? Okay. What else? I think that's about it. So thank you for your time. If you watch this webinar to the end or you watch any part of it, please share it with someone. All right, to my traders, I'll close the room and see you in the trading room in about 10, 15 minutes. You guys join the trading room, I'll join you there a bit later, right? So stop the recording.